This video we're going to focus on the lack of credibility. Now, credibility comes from not lying and not trying to hide things or confuse things. So a lack of credibility is just the opposite. And as we know now, a high-ranking FBI agent was fired prior to his retirement, forfeiting his retirement, close to $2 million over the rest of his life. Well, we have to be able to trust our government servants, and if the state if the government is going to lie to us, we can't make good decisions. We can't know that they're truly doing their job and doing it as it needs to be done. Now, we had a case in California, USA Recycling, where the judge in her determination, which is called a proposed decision, made a determination that the state's witnesses lacked credibility. You could see it in her decision, things that she quoted. You could see it in the transcripts of the hearing, which went on for a number of days. And you could also see that there were things that the state could have done to answer their questions and not created these problems, and they didn't take those opportunities. We need a system of discipline for anybody in this state that would abuse their power, impose underground regulation, misinterpret facts, not do their job, and damage the public, damage the state. We need a system of discipline where if a state employee is going to deliberately impose underground regulation on the affected, that there's a way to discourage that and to deal with it when it happens. In her decision, as she stated, the state's people lacked credibility. Government code speaks to the director and tells him what to do when that happens. In this case, I don't think he followed that. I think the department was too embarrassed by the decision and attacked it simply because they had to save face. I've seen it before, other decisions, other actions. When the power of the state comes against the little people and they're not protected, there is no justice. Justice is not served. And that's my priority. I want to see justice for everybody. So, if state employees get to lie, they should be disciplined. Maybe they should lose their pensions. The trend in California is that we are pumping out legislation to create new regulation, and there's pressure on these people in the state to take shortcuts and do things that they shouldn't be doing. We can't have that. We need a governor on the process. And we need to know that government doesn't always work right. That was the issue that our founders had. That was the reason that we put in such strong elements into the Bill of Rights. And we're dealing right now with due process. We're dealing with guilt by association. We're dealing with rule of law. And they make up things on their own. We see it throughout the certification process. We see it in the enforcement process. And how do we know? Because the way they interpret things 10, 15, 20 years ago have changed. But did the regulations and did the law change? The answer is no. It's interpretations. And those interpretations seem to be brainstorming by the legal department. And if these programs are to work, the state, especially the state and the public to a degree, have to understand that we have a responsibility to the program and to the people in this state, and not to their bosses. Their bosses get there either by political appointments or by outlasting the system. Peter Principle. People keep rising no matter how ineffective and how badly they manage or supervise. We need to, if we're going to fix this state, we're going to have to repair that whole process to make it responsive. We are in a state where Silicon Valley resides and spreads influence all over the world. And they don't use these types of management systems. If they did, I think I've said it before, it's going to be Silicon Death Valley. Credibility in our government is not a privilege. It's a right, and we have a right to demand it. And we have a right to ensure that the processes that create it are implemented and that they're constantly reviewed. They got to make sure they always work. It's good customer service. Good customer service takes input and receptivity. The public needs to give input, recyclers need to give input, and the legislature needs to hear this. So, how about an oversight hearing? This year, both Assembly, Senate, and then come out into the field. Have some of those meetings in the field. Talk to people, talk to the public, talk to recyclers. Get the facts before you go messing with this program. Not sure it's going to change this year. We're wondering. Anyway, we need teamwork. It's everybody's issue to make these programs work. And these programs should be reasonable, effective, and cost effective. And they're not going to be run that way unless we all do our job.